appreciate you. And if you're new here and you enjoy whispered true crime, please consider subscribing to the channel. I post 2 times a week, on Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I recommend using headphones if you would like to hear the gentle mic brushing. Okay, let's get right to tonight's case. Tonight we are traveling on down to Texas. Shout out to all my friends in Texas. This is the case of Savannah and Trent Paschal, and it occurred in the year 2020. Okay, so let's start with some background on Savannah. She was born in Pasadena, Southern Texas, on August 22nd, 1990. She had 2 loving parents. She enjoyed a lot of activities when she was a child, such as gymnastics, dance, swimming, ice skating, bowling, karate, and horseback riding. But her biggest love of all was caring for and rescuing animals. She spent all of her childhood summers at church camp, where she served several terms on the Coastal Plains Area Youth Ministry Council. She cherished her time on that council and even continued to attend retreats and gatherings all the way through her adulthood. She graduated from Clear Creek High School in 2008. Savannah's friends described her as kind-hearted, compassionate, graceful, a beautiful person inside and out, hardworking, easy to talk to, joyful, inclusive, sweet, friendly, full of love, and a ray of sunshine. Now, after graduating high school, at age 19, Savannah became pregnant. And the guy who she had become pregnant with did not want to be involved at all, so he took off, leaving her to raise her child as a single parent. Now, she gave birth to a beautiful little boy, and she named him William. She continued her education after she had William, and she went to the culinary school at Alvin College. One day, she was out at the local supermarket, and she met a man named Trent Paschal. He was a lot older than her, actually 18 years older than she was, so almost twice her age. And he worked as a contractor. She really liked him, and he liked her a lot as well. They began a relationship. Savannah's parents Texas, which is also South Texas and not too far from her family home. And she became pregnant again, and this time gave birth to a little girl named Mackenzie. And William was about 4 when Mackenzie was born. And as you can imagine, she adored these 2 children. They were the world to her. Now, when you would look at the social media accounts of Trent and Savannah, it would appear as if they had an ideal relationship. You know, a perfect marriage, 2 happy parents, 2 beautiful children. Everyone's always smiling. They write about how much they love each other. And they are constantly posting this sort of stuff. But that was not the reality. Not at all. In truth, Trent had become extremely jealous and controlling. He controlled all the finances. He would take all of the money that she would make, even, and he would keep all of their money in cash because he didn't trust the bank. And he would give her an allowance each week. He would criticize her choice of clothing and makeup. He accused her of cheating all the time. And he told her she was a bad mother. By this time, she had chosen a new career path. She was attending the Commonwealth School of Mortuary Science and was due to graduate in May of 2021. At the same time, she was already working at a funeral home, and she was very successful there, doing the makeup and hair and helping to direct the funeral services. Everyone there adored her. She was definitely an asset to the business. She spent a lot of time working, and this just made Trent more and more jealous and concerned about what she might be doing when she was not with him. They had many explosive fights, and then after the fights, he would apologize profusely and give her gifts. You know how the cycle works. Big fight, apology, gifts. Big fight, apology, gifts. We've heard it before. Now, he knew that after each fight, she would call her parents and tell them what happened. So after they would make up, he would call her parents and tell them his side of the story, as if they wanted to hear that. So they were obviously not happy with the relationship, and they told Savannah, "You need to get out of this marriage." Savannah had actually begun working to raise money for victims of domestic violence, and she had come to see herself as a victim as well at this point. She also wanted out of the marriage, but you know it's never that easy. When COVID hit, Trent's contracting business was not doing well, as you can imagine. But her job was needing her more and more now because, let's face was left there at home watching the kids while she was working many hours. So he started installing surveillance cameras all over the house, inside and outside, so that he could watch her every move. He even put an app onto her phone that she didn't know about that allowed him to listen to all of her conversations. One day he heard her having a conversation with her parents about her desire to leave him, and her parents had told her, "Don't confront him, just get out of there and then tell him about it later." They were concerned with the safety of their daughter. Now let's move to the date of the crime. It was October 21st, 2020, and she had told Trent that she wanted a divorce, and they were having a huge, explosive argument, so loud that the neighbors could hear them. And Trent left the house. Later on that same day, Savannah had been out as well, out with her mother, and Trent had come back home. The children were in school. So Trent sat down and made a video with the intention of posting it on YouTube later on, which he ultimately did do. Now this was a 5-minute video in which he was telling his children that he loves them and he is sorry, and he is explaining that this has happened because of Savannah's infidelity. So here is what he said, or some of it. "I'm recording this because I want my daughter to know that I love you, Mackenzie Paschal. I'm so sorry that I've done this. I want you to know that you mean everything to me. And William, I love you too. I love you so much. I love you like you're my own. I didn't choose this. Your mom chose this. She's been cheating on me for a long time. I have audio of her talking to other guys. I didn't do nothing wrong to her. When we first got together, I told her, you're too young for me. There's an 18-year-old difference in our ages. And I knew she was kind of too young, but she's been playing me." He goes on for another while, and then as he looks at himself in the video, he says, "My hair's a mess and I look horrible. Oh, sorry. Take these off," and he takes off his eyeglasses. "I love you, Mackenzie. I love you so much. Please do something good with your life. Please do something really good because you deserve a good life. I don't know what else to say. I'm so sorry. I don't have better words right now." And then he starts crying in the video. "I'm hurting so bad. I don't know what else to do anymore. I didn't do anything wrong for her. I provided what I could. I've done what I could for her. I've treated missed her. So she ran from him and she ran right out the front door to a neighbor's house for help. But in an instant, he began to shoot Savannah. And by the time Shirley got back to the house, like moments later, he was leaving and getting into his truck and driving away. After Trent left the home, he did post that video to YouTube, which was basically a confession of what he had done. She went inside and found her daughter Savannah bleeding to death on the floor. So the ambulance came and brought her to the hospital, but she could not be saved and she was pronounced dead. She was only 30 years old. Her children were just 7 and 11 years old at this time, and now they had no mother. So the police managed to track down Trent's truck later that evening in Houston, Texas. His truck was parked at a Walmart, and he wasn't in the truck, but they sat there and waited. Apparently, he had called a friend, asking for some help, not telling the friend what he had actually done. And he was in the car with his friend. They returned to the Walmart parking lot so he could get something out of his own car. And that is when the police were there waiting for him. He got out of the friend's car and he held up a gun at the police. And he would not drop it, so they had no choice but to shoot him. They shot him, I believe, 3 times. And then they brought him to the hospital. He was okay. He stayed in the hospital for 6 weeks, recovering from his injuries. Then he was returned to the police, where he was charged with felony murder, which in Texas makes it so that you are allowed to get bail. And so he was released. That's right. He was released on bond. It was a $450,000 bond for the murder and a $100,000 bond for the charges he received due to the circumstances of his arrest at the Walmart parking lot. So $550,000. His parents bonded him out and he left. Can you believe what I am saying right now? Yes, but he had some conditions. He had to wear an ankle monitor. He had to stay at his mother's house. He had a curfew of 6 p.m. He was only allowed to leave home to go to the store or to his lawyer. Now, do you think that he listened to what he was supposed to do? Do you think he cared? No, not at all. He violated the terms of his bond over and over again. From what I heard, his leg was swollen when they put on the ankle monitor from his, medical issues. And when the swelling went down, he was able to remove the monitor and he would just leave it charging at his mother's house and he would go out and do what he wanted. He had a traffic violation, which was against the terms of his bond, but he didn't get his bond revoked. Then there was a situation where he missed his court appearance, also didn't get his bond revoked. Then he was caught using different license plates on his car, also not allowed. So they go out on the road to try out this vehicle. It was an SUV. And they pull into a gas station. Trent takes out a knife, holds it up to the salesman, and tosses him out of the car and takes off. Now, this guy did not know who to report. Like, he didn't have the guy's name. So he posted the CCTV footage, or like images of Trent on social media. And a lot of people were like, hey, that looks exactly like Trent Paschal. But nothing came of it until Trent missed the next court date, which was April 23rd, so 10 days after he held up the salesman at knife point and stole the SUV. So, the police went to Trent's mother's house looking for him, and he was gone. Now, bye-bye to her $550,000 bond that she put up for him. Okay, it's gone. Goodbye, money. Real nice to do to your mother. So they found his broken ankle monitor there in the house, and now he's on the run. They cannot find him. He was actually missing for a full 9 months. 9 months. And you have this murderous fugitive on the run. Dangerous. And probably armed. He was armed, yes. He had 2 guns, it turns out. So, finally, 9 months later, it was New Year's Eve of 2021. He had met a woman in Ocala, Florida, who was living in her van with her 2 children. And he had told her that he also liked the nomadic lifestyle of, living in a vehicle and just traveling and stuff. So he was staying with her and her kids. So one night, when he was asleep, she looked in his bag. Now, he had given her a fake name. She had no idea who he was whatsoever. But she happened to find his original driver's license with his name, Trent Paschal. So she Googled it, and she found out he was wanted for murder. So she got her 2 children. She got out of the van. He was still asleep. And she called the police to tell them. And they came right down to this RV park in Ocala. And they surrounded the van. They knew he potentially could be very dangerous. They were not trying to play any games here. He was a man with nothing to lose, right? So, as they waited for him to come out, they heard a gunshot. He had ended it. And the woman who he had been staying with began crying. And the police said to her, "Do not cry for this man. He is a horrible person. He is a murderer." She said she never knew him like that at all. She thought he was the sweetest, kindest, gentlest man. So I guess he was a pretty good actor. Anyway, that is the case. What are your thoughts? I will share some of mine. First of all, rest in peace to Savannah. And my heart goes out to her 2 children who lost both their parents. They are now being raised by Savannah's parents. Now, I think the most shocking part about this case is how it was handled by the justice system. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of Texas, I think they are pretty strict is he not a flight risk? Can you think of anyone who is more of a flight risk than that guy? I do not understand it at all, not one bit. And then, if it wasn't bad enough that they even gave him a bond, they let him break all these rules. Traffic violations, missing court. Are you kidding? Then, it's too late. He's gone. They've lost him. Now what? They've lost a dangerous murderer who has already threatened a salesman at knife point. Who knows what else he could be doing? Luckily, he didn't hurt anyone else. That's all I can say. But he could have, you know. That woman who called in the tip, she is lucky that nothing happened to her. So I am just astounded. I don't even, I have no words to explain how shocked I am by what went on in this case. I mean, think about her parents. When it first happened, they had to live with the horror of their daughter's murder. And then they are slapped in the face by the justice system who allows this man to go home on bond. And then they lose him entirely. It's crazy.